Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. This is Katannya Alven speaking from the New Forest in the UK, and I've got some very interesting things today and hope that I get them uploaded quickly. So we'll start in just a moment. The election tomorrow, I felt I wanted to present something a little different, and as this is the man who originated the idea of the name Brexit, Nigel Farage, I'm going to bring him and share with what he's saying here, because it explains so much about it.
When I was first elected to the European Parliament in 1999, we were told the EU was the future, but I could see how this undemocratic institution would damage our country. I've witnessed EU rules impact everything, from our northern industries to our fishing and coastal communities. I've been fighting ever since to get us out and make the UK an independent, self-governing nation.
Membership of the EU is bad for British business. Our interests are best served by not being a member of this club.
In the 2015 election, the Tories told my previous party to stand down, fearful we'd split the vote and let Labour in. We actually took more votes from Labour, forcing the Conservatives to hold the referendum. 17.4 million people voted to leave, the largest democratic mandate in British history. We thought we'd won.
Isn't it funny? When I came here 17 years ago and I said that I wanted to leave the European Union, you all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
But Parliament still blocks Brexit. That's why I launched the Brexit Party in April. Within 6 weeks, we won the European elections everywhere in England and Wales, outside of London. We won more votes than Labour and the Tories combined. But as the political elites continue to betray Brexit, we continue to fight. In this election, there are around 130 seats the Conservatives haven't won in 50 years and will not win this time. We can. 5 million Labour voters voted to leave. They have been betrayed by Corbyn's Labour, who want a second referendum. These are voters in regions desperate for regeneration, for investment, for jobs, for infrastructure. Our 200 billion Brexit dividend will help solve these problems. You have two choices. Do you want a Brexit MP who honours the referendum, or a Remainer who wants to cancel the result? Only Brexit Party MPs can hold the Conservatives to account and get a real Brexit done. This is your one chance to change politics for good. Leavers, don't waste your vote.
And finally,
but before that can happen, the UK will hold an election on December 12th. And the outcome of that election will not only shape how Brexit happens, but perhaps even if Brexit happens at all.
It's pretty unusual to have a December election in the UK. This is the first time in roughly 100 years there's been one. Boris Johnson wanted an election after he was unable to get his withdrawal agreement through Parliament in time. The reason that he couldn't get his withdrawal agreement through Parliament before the October 21st deadline was because he basically doesn't have a Parliament who supports his view of Brexit. His hope is that by having a new election, he can get more lawmakers who approve of his idea of Brexit and help him get out of the EU before the January 31st deadline.
Get Brexit done and unleash the potential of the whole United Kingdom.
Even though Johnson is getting the election he wanted, it's still a risky move for the Prime Minister.
For Boris, the worst case scenario is that rather than get a majority in Parliament, he actually loses more seats and allows someone, probably Jeremy Corbyn of the Labour Party, or perhaps even someone else, to form a government, and he loses the government. Boris is actually running in a seat himself. He's a member of Parliament, so in theory, if he loses that seat, he can't be Prime Minister even if the Conservatives win the election. It's a calculated risk, basically. Like, when you look at the polls, the likelihood is that he'll keep government he'll probably be able to get a majority, and that would just make his life so much easier in everything that's going forward. So it makes sense why he wanted to do it. But it is a risk. And Boris Johnson's Conservatives are pretty considerably ahead in the polls by about 10 percentage points. That doesn't mean that they'll win. Britain has a first-past-the-post electoral system, which means that percentage polls don't necessarily tell you who's going to win, who can form a government. And there's also the fact that Jeremy Corbyn, the major opposition leader, he's shown himself to be very good in the campaign trail. He presents a very different view of Britain than Boris does. When he was up against Theresa May, he came back from 20 points behind to prevent her from getting a majority government and force her into minority government that is now Boris Johnson's whole problem. So if he's come from 20 points behind before, 10 points behind suddenly doesn't seem so bad.
So what does Jeremy Corbyn stand for? Really Marxism and communism, what I call socialism, soft communism, and that will be getting into harder communism. So this is Katannya Alven signing out, but I just want to sign out on something that will amuse you, because it all gets pretty desperate when we've followed the money and we followed the politics. And I would like to say thank you to Christoph, who sent me the link. Actually, it was for a different video, but it led to this one. Enjoy. This is Katannya Alven signing out from the New Forest in the UK.
I'm going to start saying Merry Christmas again. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year, happy holidays. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. Don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I don't need to hang my stocking there on the fireplace. Santa Claus will make me happy with a toy on Christmas Day. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. You, baby, oh, all the lights are shining so brightly everywhere. And the sound of children's laughter fills the air. And everyone is singing, I hear those sleigh bells ringing. Santa, won't you bring me the one I really need? Won't you please bring my baby to me? I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. You, baby.
Well, thanks Maestro Zilkos for that incredible bit of jiggery-pokery. So this is Katannya Alven signing out. Obviously not the last one before Christmas, but have a wonderful day, the rest of the day. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.